Why do we celebrate summer? Wednesday, this past Wednesday, the earth tilted so that the direct rays of the sun came down above the equator. Rather than being north or south, it's right on. But it keeps creeping up closer and closer. And on the longest day, the most light we get, we start summer. Now, we've all got a different definition of when summer starts. My next door neighbor has an above ground pool, and I figure summer starts when he finally takes the top off of that and turns the, and when they're gone, I can sneak. Never mind, I wouldn't do that. But summer is it's a good time. It's kind of relaxed time. But see, seasons. It's great to have 4 seasons. I have lived in places that really didn't have 4 seasons. I was in Singapore once on business. Singapore is about 100 miles north of the equator, so they have no winter, they have no fall, they have no spring, they just got summer. And it doesn't mean as much. You know, if you're not, if you don't have the experience of the other seasons. First place I was in the Coast Guard was in northern Japan, roughly the same latitude as Bangor, Maine. And come summertime, the sun was up about 2:30 in the morning and stayed up until 10:30, 11 o'clock. Now, on military bases, you raise the flag at 8 o'clock in the morning and you take it down at sundown. That meant one of us had to stay up till like 10:30 and go out and bring the flag down. But that was long. Now, that base had kept records. The hottest day they had ever had was 85 degrees. The coldest day. We don't want to go there. But they had seasons, but they just weren't quite as clearly delimited as we have around here. We're actually living in, if you want 4 seasons, one of the best places. Now, I experienced the seasons God created on different continents, different latitudes, but each of these, summer, winter, spring, fall, always gave me a glimpse of the glory of God. Now, I was thinking about this some, and it's actually a progression. We have spring. Spring is where God tells us things are going to be okay. Spring is when His Son was resurrected. Spring is when we can look forward to things. The beauty shows up. Now, we have like 4 crocus. And for about 2 or 3 days, they're a little bit, I don't understand what crocus are for, other than to look pretty for about 3 or 4 days. But you know it's coming. You know that spring is about here. And it's all a matter of God is presenting to us just a whole understanding of His power. Spring leads us into summer. Summer's great. We all look forward to summer. When I still had a boat, I loved summer. Take it up to the lake, go sailing. As they say, they're the 2 happiest days in a boat owner's life: the day you buy it, the day you sell it. The other thing is owning a boat is like standing in a cold shower carrying $100 bills. Luckily, my boat wasn't that big. So. But you look forward to summer, and it's a progression. It's showing God's glory. In the scriptures, we hear that He created summer and winter. So spring leads into summer. Your memories of summer. Most of the memories we have of summer are from when we were kids. And we had no real anything on our plot. It was just like fun. Go out and you play. I remember we lived in West Virginia, just outside Huntington, when I was 1 to about 7. And we lived about 2 blocks from a railroad crossing, and that railroad carried coal, lots and lots of coal. So everything, I remember my mother loved to hang, especially in the summer, hang things on the line. But all the women in the neighborhood knew the train schedule. Because you run, you take your stuff off the line until the coal dust has settled. And I remember playing outside, working up a big sweat in this, black rings. But they're good memories. And I remember, growing up in South Louisiana, fishing. Summer was a great time. It's like the pinnacle of what God is offering us. But it's not the end. But we could worship what's happening because we're reminded of beaches, ice cream, sunshine, picnics. You never forget about those days, about the sunshine of those days. We used to vacation at Destin Beach in the panhandle of Florida. And I once soaked up more than a human should be allowed to soak up of sunshine. I couldn't put on a shirt for 2 days. But still, you play in the surf. You can be as close to God as you want to be because you're in the high point of His creation. But why did Noah bring mosquitoes along? The Hawaiian Islands had no mosquitoes. There was no mosquito in the Hawaiian Islands until the natives irked one of the sailing ships and they dumped a casket or keg of water with mosquito blubber in it. And so from that time on, Hawaii had mosquitoes. Now I remember fishing with my father, summertime, great, felt great. And we would come in about the time the sun was going down, it was getting dark, and the sound of the mosquitoes was so loud that, you think, it's going to drown out any sound. That did not drown out the sound of a bull alligator. That gets you in your car in a hurry. But those are the memories of summer. Those are the things we remember playing outside. Since we understand as adults, there are a lot of things about this that we as kids just thought were wonderful, but as adults we know, be careful. Everybody's mother, everybody's father told them to be careful. How many of us were? At 6, 7 years old, how many people were careful? They weren't. See, God takes care of the not very bright. But see, even in summer, the sun didn't always shine. But as we got older, we realized that even winter days that come along in summer are still days in which you can see the work, the workings, the whole kit and caboodle of God's creation. Psalm 74, 12 through 17. God, my King, is from ancient times, performing saving acts on the earth. You divided the sea with your strength. You smashed the heads of the sea monsters in the water. You crushed the heads of Leviathan. You fed him to the creatures of the desert. You opened up springs and streams. You dried up ever-flowing rivers. The day is yours, also the night. You established the moon and the sun. You set all the boundaries of the earth. You made summer and winter. God's power can be seen. So we really love summer. One thing I like about summer now is that I don't have to think much about my wardrobe. Don't have to carry a coat around. My shorts, my t-shirt. Of course, if I'm leaving home to go run errands, I can hear my mother saying, "Are you going to wear that?" hear my wife saying it too, because she says it more often. So I then go back and put on a shirt with a collar because, you know, you gotta get, it's summer, but you still gotta look good. But despite squalls that come across you and sunsets that are ahead in our lives, we can still celebrate summer. That psalmist I just read, summer was made by God. It's kind of like the cherry on top. We give thanks for this period when the world seems warm, enjoyable, and so full of opportunities. And above all, we can be quietly be joyful because we have God's unmatched power. There was a rich man who commissioned a painter to paint a picture of the prodigal son coming home. He worked determinedly. He really put a lot of work, creating an image truly up to telling this most famous of parables. Finally, the day came when the picture was finished. The scene was set outside the father's house. This is what was painted. And showed the open arms of each, the father and the son. They're about to meet and embrace. The man who commissioned the work was well pleased and was prepared to pay the painter for his work, when he suddenly noticed a detail that he had missed. Standing out in the painting, well, anything else, in this scene, was starkly apparent that the father was wearing one red and one blue shoe. He was incredulous. How could this be that the painter could make such an error? He asked the painter, who simply smiled and said, yes, this is a beautiful representation of the love of God for his children. What do you mean? He asked, puzzled. The father was not interested in being color coordinated or fashion conscious when he went out to meet his son. In fact, he was in such a hurry to show his love for his son, he simply reached and grabbed the nearest two shoes that he could find. You see, our God is a God of unmatched shoes. Our God is a God who accepts us, who gives us summer, who gives us all of the seasons. But they're a progression from him. He begins with spring, and he lifts us up with the new birth, with the new flowers, with the warming. Summer, when we can really enjoy doing outdoor things. But that ends, and we have fall. Now, fall is a wonderful time. Fall is a great time. All the crops are coming in, lots of pumpkins, lots of things to go do. You can go to pumpkin patch with the kids. But it's a coda to summer. It's the end. It begins toward the end. And then winter. Winter is the end. Winter is what we see when everything dies back. We were in Moscow on the 21st of December, the first day of winter. Now, we've been there about 2 weeks, and quite frankly, they told me that, and I thought, it's going to get worse than this. It's going to be colder. It's going to be icier. So, with a glad heart, we loaded our 2 new daughters onto an airplane and flew out of that place, headed south. Because it was cold. But that's what the Lord has decided for us. We have these cold periods. Now, growing up in South Louisiana, winter was just kind of an inconvenience. People ask me, what was winter like? Well, in winter, in the morning, you got up, you put on a light jacket or a sweater, long sleeve shirt. Long about 10 o'clock, so you take the coat off. Around noon, you roll the sleeves up on the shirt. About 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you roll the sleeves down. Around 4 or 5, you put the coat back on. That's winter. But it didn't have the effect that winter in places like here, northern Japan, where it's brutal, But no matter how it is the picture God painted for our lives. We start with spring, we grow into summer where everything is warm and open and friendly and there. And then it tapers off through fall, and then there's the freezing out and the end. But it's followed by what? Spring again. Our God is a God of unmatched shoes. When we truly give thanks to God this very day, it's because He, in Jesus Christ, is rushing towards us, no matter what the season. Summer, He celebrates with us no matter how we are dressed. In autumn, He holds us tightly without concern for His dignity. And in winter, He carries us. He carries us more than a mile in our own shoes.